Pop music is often the most fun when it's the messiest, and a good clapback song always brings some much appreciated drama to enjoy. Let's take a look at some examples of an artist clapping back, whether it be to the media, other artists, or even their own families. Holla Back Girl by Gwen Stefani. Although it hasn't been officially confirmed by Gwen herself, 2004's Holla Back Girl has long been seen as a response to rock singer Courtney Love. Speaking to 17 magazine, Courtney said, "Being famous is just like being in high school, but I'm not interested in being the cheerleader. I'm not interested in being Gwen Stefani. She's the cheerleader, and I'm out in the smoker shed. She's not like the other girls, you guys. She's a cool girl." Gwen said in a 2005 interview that she was never a cheerleader, but since someone labeled her as that, she doubled down and literally became one for Holla Back Girl. Gwen never mentioned Courtney by name when discussing the song, but it's pretty obvious that she was most likely referring to her comments. The girl was clearly fired up though, as the song is basically about fighting your high school enemy. I admire the level of pettiness it took for Gwen to literally make a cheerleader anthem, all because someone called her one, and the fact that it became a huge hit is pretty sweet revenge. What exactly is wrong about being a cheerleader though? Someone was not a fan of Bring It On. You Need Me by Janet Jackson. A B-side to the hit song Miss You Much, off of 1989's iconic Rhythm Nation, You Need Me is a raw and confrontational track about Janet's relationship with her father, Joe Jackson. For those who don't know, Joe had a complicated relationship with his children, as he was very controlling of their careers, and had allegations of physical and mental abuse brought against him. During the first few years of Janet's singing career, Joe played a huge role in the type of music she made, with her first two albums being primarily bubblegum pop records that unfortunately didn't see much success. Wanting to break out from under her father's thumb, Janet stopped doing any business with her family and went on to create Control, which became one of the biggest albums of the 80s and launched her into superstardom. Its follow-up, Rhythm Nation, was even more successful, becoming the only album in history to have 7 top 5 singles and selling roughly 12 million copies worldwide. Janet clearly made the right move by distancing her career away from her family, and with this separation came the opportunity to really spill her emotions about her father. You Need Me criticizes Joe's cold parenting style and how he made his children afraid of him, as well as the lack of support he gave to Janet's mother, Catherine. It's a damning 4.5 minutes, though she doesn't completely close the door to a relationship with him, saying she won't turn her back on him the way that he did with her. Janet has since changed her perspective a little bit on her late father, saying in her 2022 documentary that, despite not having a traditional father-daughter relationship, she and the rest of her siblings do owe their career to him. It's clearly a complicated relationship that can't be possibly summed up in one song, but You Need Me definitely offers insight into her feelings at the time. Human Nature by Madonna. A response to the media's criticism of her last album, 1992's Erotica, along with several other sexually charged projects, such as her starring role in the erotic thriller Body of Evidence, and her coffee table book literally called Sex, Human Nature is classic Madonna. Instead of trying to appease the people who were shocked by her openness to discuss taboo subjects, she makes it clear that she's not sorry for expressing herself, and that her critics can't silence her. The video also doubled down on the sexuality, with Madge and her backup dancers sporting S&M gear and acting completely ridiculous. It's one of her funniest and most sarcastic videos, and it fits the tone of the song very well. The media had been portraying her as a rebellious, immoral woman who dared to speak about sex, so she played that image up and showed just how dramatic everyone was being. Human Nature may not be her biggest hit, but it's arguably the one that represents Madonna's rebellious, confident, and brazen attitude the best, along with being another example of how she paved the way for female artists to be able to explore whatever topics they want. Hoxton Heroes by Girls Aloud. A B-side to their 2008 single Can't Speak French, Hoxton Heroes is a criticism of pretentious wannabe indie acts. It isn't pointed at one artist or group in particular, but rather it's an indictment of snobby, musically elitist acts who would call Girls Aloud manufactured, when in reality they're also just as manufactured. It goes in on bands that think they're unique when they really sound like every other indie act. You thought you'd be a star, it didn't get you that far. I don't know your name, you're just another band with a different game, cause you're all the same. You said you played at Reading, then you chart at 57. Dragged for filth. Apparently, the song was too controversial to be included on their 4th album, Tangled Up, but it still got commercially released as a B-side, and was later included on the deluxe edition of their greatest hits collection, 10. The song sparked outrage among online message boards, with people saying Girls Aloud wasn't credible, and that it was insulting of them to go after indie acts. Clearly, a lot of people did not understand the message of the song, as it's not criticizing indie music or indie music artists in general, just the artists who act like they're superior to others due to the type of music they make, as well as bands who claim to be indie, but really are just as manufactured as any other act. It's interesting to look back on a song like this, since it was made at a time when it was cool to drag pop music. Online communities and message boards were still relatively new, and much harsher than they are today, so a group like Girls Aloud surely got tons of hate from people who saw themselves as being quote-unquote above pop songs. It's cool that they clapped back like this, especially in 2008, when it wasn't super common for artists to do that. There's really no other songs I could think of that are about this specific subject, and I don't think a similar track would even be made nowadays, since the conversation surrounding pop music has gotten at least somewhat more civil since 2008. Not that it is civil, but it's the internet. We can't expect everyone to be nice. Piece of Me by Britney Spears. The second single from the greatest album ever made, Blackout. Piece of Me was Britney's response to the media frenzy surrounding her life since she was a teenager. The 2000s were especially invasive and dehumanizing for her, as the media criticized her for being a bad mother, slut-shamed her for her outfits and performances, and constantly made fun of her appearance. Piece of Me addresses all of this, with Britney casually brushing off the rumors and speculation, while also saying no one could keep her name out of their mouths. Her sarcastic, icy delivery is what really sells it in my opinion. Britney sounds totally unbothered over what people are saying about her, since she knows everyone is just trying to use her name to further their careers. This song is a power fantasy of what it feels like to know you're living rent-free in everyone's mind. And even though Britney was obviously affected by the abuse she suffered at the hands of the media, this song is a cathartic flip-off anthem that I can only imagine was very satisfying for her to sing. It's one of, if not the, best responses to the media in all of pop music. The girl made her point. For all the hatred she got from every corner of the world, she was still the person on everyone's mind, and that's why she is, and forever will be, that bitch.